That's got to be deflating for Melbourne Victory. Yeah. So much promise, so much attacking opportunity, a massive chance from Toivonen gone, and Sydney FC just like that, 2-0. They need the crowd now to lift. There's plenty of time in this game.
Kickoff delayed for a second. I reckon VAR's having a look at this. I think it'll be all clear though, and yes it is. All the replays suggest it was pretty good. And so Sydney FC in a trice. After Victory produced 2 golden chances in the first 7 minutes. They counter and they get it in, and that's how they like to do it, Roddy. Short passes. It was Baumjohann who was slaloming his way past Victory players. Short ball out to the right for Adam Lafondra, and then that cut back cross. Baumjohann and Barbarouses with the goal. Credited Victory meantime, and there's a foul behind play as Adama Traore tried to build that passage up, and looking for Toivonen in the middle. Would have counted to nothing though, as he got or sent a foul to a Sydney FC player in the meantime. 2-0 for Sydney FC. The Western Union sent money around the world. Big moment for Bendix Breaks, that goal. Bit Bendix or nothing.
And it's kind of been a story of both teams' season. Victory it's just not happening for them. For me, it's been their best game all year, and they find themselves 2-0 down. Sydney FC just find a way to score, finding a way to win. You know, they've got quality players, and you can go through the list. Ninkovic, Barbarouses, Bratton, Baumjohann. They've got quality all over the field, Lafondra. And when you've got qualities like that, you just find ways to score, find ways to win, and they're doing that at the moment.
Victory still trying to push forwards. Andrew Naboot leads the charge down the right side. The rest of the field in waves follows him. Now the play, the momentum, the sting is lost. Kamsoba, a few step overs. He loses control of the ball. Baumjohann nips in. Kamsoba gets back up and continues on though as he wins the ball back. Now Traore to Basher. He's squeezed out by 2 players. Lafondra one of them. And now he can drive up to the halfway line. Slides it laterally out to the near sides for Ninkovic, who has so much space to work with, and he just slows his run down to a canter. No need to rush for Sydney at 2-0 up on the scoreboard for Kubota Building Australia. 55.5 minutes played in this game.
The crowd doing their best to lift the Victory team, making as much noise as they can. I'm sure they'll be quite happy with the performance of their team, not the scoreline, because the scoreline is not always reflective of the game itself. Yes, Sydney FC have been clinical and they've produced, you know, a few good chances, but it's been a good game from both teams.
Sydney looking to control and maintain possession now, and the dominance as Baumjohann streams forward again, out to the left, cut back by Ninkovic and intercepted by the Victory. One back though by King, who puts in an effort on goal, but it slides right across the face and doesn't trouble the back post of Lawrence Thomas. 56.5 minutes gone at Amy Park.
It's amazing in our game just how the tide can turn. 1 minute, Victory seemingly with the goal beckoning for the equaliser, and if you'd picked the player, it would have been Toivonen, and the next minute they're 2-0 down.
Victory moving into the Sydney half, but Sydney FC happy now with this lead to get numbers back and sit back behind the ball, making things more difficult for the Victory to try and work through. Long pass from Basher, diagonal out to the right side for Naboot, cut out by King, headed down by Barbarouses and fed on through to Retre. Sydney will hang on to it here in their own half for the time being. Bratton turns around a corner, plays it backwards to McGowan, now forward down that right sideline for Baumjohann, who works inbound and gets fouled by Traore. Sky Blues continue on with it. They lead 2-0 Sydney FC. 4 of the last 5 times these sides have met, it's finished with a scoreline of 2-1. So entirely possible of that repeating itself again tonight. Barbarouses Retray forward, Ninkovic pirouettes away from Basher. And now it's Grant, right corner of the box. Deep cross to the back post, Barbarousis there. So is Storm Roo. And nods it out for a corner as he rose in the air at the back post and clunks it into safety.
It's beautiful to watch Milos Ninkovic on the ball, under pressure, with time, wherever it is on the pitch. He's just so classy and so silky. He knows what's around. He got out of trouble there with ease, just on the turn there. They do look like a well-drilled machine, Sydney FC. They're happy to soak up the pressure when need be, but when they attack, I think the last 2 or 3 occasions in a wave of 5. They're a well-drilled outfit, and they're top of the league for a reason.
Corner for Sydney FC. It's pumped straight into the hands of Lawrence Thomas, who rolls it out dangerously to Mijen Basher, who was upended by Grant, but his pass still found Cruz, who accelerates down the left sideline. He slows up a little, loses control of the ball momentarily, but picks it back up with his right foot. And now it's Lesiotis in the central area. Sydney FC have flooded all the way back. Basher back up and bouncing. It's Cruz who dinks it in and pumped away by a pretty agricultural punt from Ryan McGowan, back up to halfway. Retrieved by Carrigan. Across the halfway line to Broxham, now to Traore. Cross comes in, bounces through the line on the 18-yard box. Lesiotis leaves it a foot, deflects it out to Storm Roo, just as Sydney were trying to exit their lines. And the boot on the right side, low ball comes in, hooked away by Wilkinson, high into the air. This is all happening in the Victory attacking half. Sydney just on their heels for the time being, and now Ninkovic has been awarded the softest of fouls. And Sydney FC, this will allow them to push players forward and get it away from the danger zone. Melbourne Victory, 47% possession to 53 for Sydney FC. The stats for hangmytv.com.au. Storm Roo down the right, cuts it back onto his left, pokes it through for Cruz, trying to charge through, lost control, over the top from Barbarousis. Carrigan pushes it sideways to his centre half partner in Lee Broxham, who steps out of his line and goes on a marauding run forward, clipped high by Cam Sober towards Naboot, who tries to inflict the header on goal, glancing it from a long way out, but header from there was never really going to trouble Andrew Redmayne. Now the man in pink picks it up. The Northern Terrace still bouncing in waves, up and down in a rhythmic chant. Looks like an ocean. Sydney FC leading 2-0 just beyond the hour mark, 61 minutes gone. And they can try and move forward again. Here goes Baumjohann carrying it forwards. Lafondra gets himself in an offside position. Out to Ninkovic. His touch is a heavy one. He can work it onto his right. Gives it back to Lafondra. Around the top they go. From the left to the top to the right of the 18-yard box. And that didn't quite work out for Barbarousis. He and Ninkovic on a different wave. Barbarousis tried to play a cross into the back post as Ninkovic was moving inwards. So he hit it into open space. Now Roo forward down the line. It's a wayward ball from Storm Roo, and
it's a tough pass.
Yeah, Robbie Cruz had to work overtime to keep it from going out.
Yeah, he kicked the ball away in frustration. He's made a 30-yard sprint. The idea was there, but the ball was just always aiming out. It was headed towards the corner flag, and Robbie Cruz made a good run, but he wants the ball headed towards the goal, not towards the corner flag. Just kicked the ball away in frustration there, Robbie Cruz.
So Sydney FC's throw from deep in their own half at left back. They exit by clearing it out to the far side of the field for Ryan Grant, who sprints towards halfway just to find safety. Baumjohann bundled over, but his foot came sliding on through to find Bratton. And now Sydney FC work it through Barbarousis. Ninkovic leaves it for Barbarousis again. The 1-2. Cross from the left from King. Scooped high by Carrigan of the Victory. Brought down by Naboots. It's steered forward for Cruz, who had his feet taken out from underneath him. And Luke Bratton is going to get himself a yellow card for his efforts on the Socceroo. Luke Bratton has already served a penalty for 5 yellow cards this season. That's his 6th. Does this game feel like it's beyond Melbourne Victory now, Roddy?
Not yet. Not yet. There's still time. There's still time. They need to keep pushing. But at the same time, be aware of the counter-attack. Sydney FC clinical when they stream forward. But I'd say there's still time, and backed with this amazing support tonight, they'll keep pushing.
Sydney look confident they can defend this. 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in football, isn't it, Roddy? Are they happy to sit back?
So they say, but I mean, they sit back, but it's they sit back with the intent. As soon as they win it, they're off and they're countering.
Yeah. And
their players are streaming forward. It's not a sitting back, bashing the ball and staying there, just remaining in their block. As soon as they get a chance, here's Robbie Cruz.
Robbie Cruz is in down the byline, works in it to the front post and batted away by Redmayne, and then it's leathered further up to halfway. Brief moment there for the Victory. Big moment building for Bendix. Bendix breaks, better breaks Bendix. The Victory will try and fashion something again. The boot on the right side of the field. Progressive pass to Rue as he whips it across. Bratton chested it down. Was there an arm in there? There was a shout from the Victory fans and from some of the players too. Here goes Barbarousis, steaming away. There was a foot in there on Storm Rue, who's put in a concerted effort tonight on his all-whites teammate. The 2 New Zealanders going head-to-head across the flanks. He won at that time, Storm Rue. A tailing foot took it away from Barbarousis. Cruz works it across, cut it back. That was good effort from Robbie Cruz to try and hook it around the corner, but Andrew Redmayne steps out and dives onto it, and then might have copped a late foot from Ola Toivonen, who was the target in the middle of the 18-yard area. And Redmayne stays down for a second longer.
We'll have to wait to see the replay. Maybe just a trailing little foot there as he's trying to jump him. No, not much of that. I think he's just trying to not stand on his hands, and he's not much in that at all.
Trainers coming out nonetheless to tend to Andrew Redmayne, who's still lying on his back. So a brief break in play now allows us to go through some of the stats for hangmytv.com.au. Total of 11 shots for the Melbourne Victory, 5 of them on target. For Sydney FC, 7 shots tonight, 4 of them on target. 22 to 21 balls into the 18-yard box in favour of the Melbourne Victory. They lead that stat just by 1. 1 offside apiece. 14 fouls conceded by the Victory to 9 for Sydney, so the visitors have been cleaner, and 2 yellow cards apiece. The stats for hangmytv.com.au. hangmytv.com.au, that's what we do. Still we wait. Andrew Redmayne picks himself up. There's a convergence of pink down in front of the Sydney goals. Redmayne's in pink, the physios are in pink bibs. Fluorescent everywhere. The rest of the players are just milling around Amy Park. Coming up for the rest of the weekend, there's more Football Nation on offer for you. Tomorrow, back at this venue, Tristan Fernanda and Clint Bolton will be calling the Melbourne City game against Perth Glory. Before that, though, from 5 p.m, the Central Coast Mariners and the Brisbane Roar, not broadcast on Football Nation, just for your own pleasure on television. And also on Sunday, Western United against Adelaide United to close out the rounds, which should be a fascinating matchup. It's 5th versus 6th. Western United and Adelaide, both on the fringe of the top 6 in this A-League competition. Back up and running Sydney FC, and Andrew Redmayne for that matter. And here they go, attacking the 18-yard box, out towards King, who works it across. It cuts back again from the far side, and defended by the Victory, but only as far as Bratton. He came in once from the left from King, went right across the face of goal, picked up on that outer side by Baumjohann, and then Sydney FC will start all over again. Ninkovic chasing after it. Carrigan slides in, sends it out of play for a throw. Looks like Josh Hope has been summoned by the Victory bench. Barbarousis. Cruz for the Victory. The boot. Knocks it on for Toivonen, up towards halfway. Tries to bend that pass around Alex Wilkinson. But Wilkinson keeps his line and sends it out of play for a victory throw on the right wing. .8 minutes gone. 2-0 for Sydney FC for Western Union. Move your money overseas with the Western Union app. Very much end-to-end stuff between these two sides. Lafondra stabs it forward. Barbarousis was too short on it. Lawrence Thomas comes out of his area and cuts off that Lafondra ball. Finds Carrigan, who thumps it forward. Now we're just going end-to-end, Roddy.
Yeah, it's been a very end-to-end game. But it's been some good football. It hasn't been just your traditional long pass, from back to front. There's been a lot of work, a lot of good work done from all players in the field. A few passes going astray, maybe some players starting to tire a little bit.
Cruz has his pass cut out by Grant, who pings a nice cross-field ball out towards Lafondra. Took a deflection on
Barbarousis and Lafondra up. Johan still finding that space, and when Victory commit numbers forward, there's opportunities to counter-attack.
Still no change made by Victory. It's just not working for them at the moment. As hard as Robbie Cruz tries, Ryan Grant gets the head up and pings one beautifully.
Thrown forward by King. That's good vision from the youngster. Finds Ninkovic working in behind the line, but his cross is a tame one and straight into the pouch of Thomas, who bowls it out to Basher. And now Lesiotis ambles up to the halfway line. Further forward to Cruz, who stops short of his marker. Pass inside for Naboot, who returns around in a half turn to find Lesiotis behind him. Back out to Naboot, who moves further forward, cross to the back post. Toivonen just over his head. The captain will get it back though for the victory as he retreats towards the sideline. In towards Kamsoba, hand goes up, but Kamsoba continues on. Kamsoba takes the shots. That come off the bar?
No, it came off, I think, Wilkinson's head.
Out for a throw on the near side anyway. Kamsoba has opened up Sydney FC a few times with some lovely little moves. Change of direction, drop of the shoulder, swivel of the hips, and he opens up a gap or so. On that occasion, deflected away from the face of goal. Results throw, and Rue and King tussle for it, and they say it's a goal kick. Victory fans thought that was a corner. Kenny Athew's been brought over as well to the bench for Melbourne Victory.
And that's what I was asking for, a little bit more isolation. Kamsoba in and around the box. Take your player on with your trickery. He's sharp. He's hard to defend. He's like a little worm just wriggling in and out. Got a good shot off. Well defended from Sydney.
So approaching the final, well, we're in the final 20 minutes of this game, but approaching the final 20 minutes when you count for added on time. 72nd minute of this game. Victory working this ball forward with some interplay at the top of the box. Basher goes down inside the area. Alex King doesn't acknowledge it. Might be a half shout here for VAR, for the TAC. Safer vehicles save lives.
I think the ball, unfortunately for Basher and Victory, just got caught under his legs. Couldn't get the ball out in front of him. As we watch the replay, nothing in that one.
And the first substitutions for the game about to take place. The first one here for Sydney FC. Paolo Retre coming off and Anthony Caceres being brought on. So almost like for like in the centre of the park.
Yeah.
Is Ola Toivonen coming off?
Yeah, the captain's coming off.
He is too. Brandon Lawton coming on in his place. And Kenny Athew coming on for Anthony Lesiotis. So attacking changes here for the Victory. A striker for a striker, Athew and Toivonen, but Brandon Lawton's more of a winger compared to Lesiotis, who is a centre mid. So more attacking players, more wingers on for the Victory. And another tall target in the form of Kenny Athieu. What a moment that would be if he can score here against Sydney FC.
Still plenty of time. 18 and then whatever extra time is added. They need to keep prodding away. Keep testing the Sydney FC defence, who thus far has held up strong.
Victory trying to use that left side, but the ball is just a bit too far beyond Cam Sober. Out for a goal kick here for Sydney FC. So we saw Josh Hope getting ready before, but it's waved away by Carlos Perez Salvatore, the stand-in coach at the moment for Melbourne Victory, and who worked under Kevin Muscat when Muskie was coaching last season. He spent about 6 or 7 years, did Carlos Perez, with the Real Madrid youth team through the end of the 90s and into 2005. Villarreal as well, another big club, their youth team in Spain. And with Guadalajara, a team in Spain as well, and as an assistant. Real Valladolid, another club who's been around La Liga with their B team, and then out to the Victory in 2018. Pace of the game just slowing at the moment. Sydney FC scored in the 27th minute through Adam Lafondra. A tap-in goal which looked like it almost came off the shoe of Storm Roux. It was a close thing, very tight inbound. Short ball from the right from Baumjohann on a recycle play, second phase play. Lafondra put it in to make it 1-0 for Sydney FC after a bright opening start from both sides, a very competitive, even opening 20 minutes. And then Sydney FC in the 53rd minute through Costa Barbarouses. Again, another typically close, in tight, sort of messy Sydney FC goal. Get it as close to goal as you can. Barbarouses was there to toe poke it in as there's a foul in the middle of Amy Park. And a card shown here for Elvis Camsoba.
I think it's Basher with the card.
Pardon me, it is Mijan Basher. His third card of the A-League season. And since that second goal for Sydney FC, the tempo of the game has just slowed slightly as the Victory now finding it hard to break down this Sydney formation. They've dropped into a more counter-attacking shape, stacking their lines ahead of their 18-yard box, getting players back and then counter-attacking when possible. Harder for the Victory to break through, harder for the Victory to break down. And it's ultimately harder for the Victory to score against when they're trailing by 2 goals. Sydney FC continue on. They go backwards first with his free kick and round the back end of the centre circle. Barbarouses has lost his handle on the ball. Athieu slides in a bit messily, goes down in instalments, and then still wins the foul, as Barbarouses was the one to have said have dragged him down. Roux across the halfway line, Roxham. The boot around the corner to Basher, sideways. It's slow here for the Victory, do you think, Roddy?
Yeah, look, it's going to be hard because
Basher unleashes and the shot misses.
These last 15 or so minutes will predominantly be played in Victory's attacking half. Sydney in no rush to get out of their half. Like you said, they've got the numbers behind the ball, and they're saying to Victory, if you're good enough, break us down. See what you can come up with. They're up 2-0, and they know they're good enough, and they've got the players that can break away if necessary. If the counter-attack's on, they'll break. Really, they're asking the question of Victory now. They're up 2-0, so the onus is not on them to do anything. They're up 2-0. Victory, come at me, they're saying.
What's your assessment of the substitutions made by Carlos Perez, bringing on Kenny Athieu essentially in place of Ola Toivonen as the striker up front?
Look, I can only think it's an injury precaution. He is coming back. So maybe he was running a bit low, the legs were getting a bit heavy, or maybe it was pre-planned. I can't see another reason why he'd come off, and maybe likewise with Leslie Otis, maybe it's starting to tire a little bit the young man, and the fresh legs with Lawton coming on.
Keeping in mind as well that they've got a Champions League game in 4 days from now, on the 28th, they have to travel to Japan to take on Kashima Antlers, so keeping him fresh for that. It's a playoff game, vying for a group stage position in the Champions League, so I want to make it.
Yeah, of course, there's a lot to factor in.
Victory still here in possession. Sydney FC letting them have the ball in solid chunks. Brandon Lawton has it on the right side of the field. Shares a 1-2 ball with Storm Rue, then goes back to Rue, who runs into Ninkovic. Ball squirts away from him towards the sideline. Lawton comes back in. Cam Sober enters the fray as well, but his pass goes backwards to Carrigan. Now Broxham stepping out of his defensive 4. Goes sideways to Lawton. Now Athieu is there. His left foot isn't quite his strongest, so he goes out towards Robbie Cruz, who cuts back in on the right, and his shot, I think, hits Kenny Athieu in the back of the calves, and then cleared away by Sydney FC high out over the sideline for a throw. Sydney FC making their second change. See you later, Costa Barbarousis.
And I dare say Steve Corrick has been very deliberate with that substitution, giving his man an early send-off as they have a little chat together and a little chuckle. Not his most involved game. He hasn't had a bad game by all means, but Victory done well to keep him very quiet.
Victory on the ball, the boots, attempts the shot, top of the box, deflects into the air. It was defended by Caceres. He's put the binoculars to the northern terrace next to me, and angry faces, swear words just spitting out of the mouths of Victory fans.
Yeah, look, I think
he soaked it up too, Costa, didn't he?
Yeah, I think more frustrated than anything. What's happened here?
Yellow card has been shown. Is that to Ryan? No, it wouldn't be to Ryan McGowan. That would have been his second. It was to Andrew Redmayne.
Time wasting?
I think so. Do you hear a drone?
I thought maybe the sprinklers had come on.
Sounds like an RC car just entered the field.
Well, someone's opened up a bottle of soda water really, really slowly. Josh Hope, take 2. He's been summoned again. 10 minutes plus injury time.
Sydney FC leading 2-0 in the Big Blue. Round 16 of the A-League. This would extend Sydney's lead at the top of the tree for the time being anyway, before Melbourne City take to this field tomorrow night against Perth. Andrew Naboot wriggles his way forward. It comes out to him, takes the shots. That was a well-timed shot from Andrew Naboot off a ricochet. He volleyed it down, but straight into the hands of Andrew Redmayne. He shared a 1-2 with Cam Sober. Cam Sober's flick pass back on through, came up high and rose up almost at waist height for Naboot. Shot on target. No result for the Victory. Sydney FC counter-attacking. Milos Ninkovic on the ball. Spreads it out to the right side of the field. Baumjohann takes it. Steps over once. He's brought down on the edge of the box.
Nothing in that one.
Goal kick. Maybe half a shout for the VAR for the TAC. Visit howsafeisyourcar.com.au. They would have looked at that and decided upon it very swiftly. Eric Mombarts has seen enough. He was residing in the box 2 to our right, Roddy, and he's up and outed now with 10 minutes to go. Beat the traffic.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it was his chopper that was landing. Maybe that was the noise. That's it. It was his chopper.
I think it was.
He got the call. The pilot said, mate, the chopper's ready. So they're off.
His team, Melbourne City, tomorrow night against Perth Glory. Tristan Fernanda and Clint Bolton with you, but firstly Andrew Naboot is working his way through, tries to poke it through for Athieu, and Redmayne was quick off his line, got there before the tall striker Kenny Athieu could. Out of the two sides though, I was mentioning Melbourne City, they next play Melbourne Victory. That's their closest fixture. That's on the 7th of February. against here at Amy Park. Melbourne derby. That's number 3 for the season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sydney happy to chew up the clock. 83rd minute, we've just ticked by. Ryan McGowan sits on it at centre back. Work down the line by Grant and out of play. So Sydney FC coming in after the back of 3 straight wins, undefeated in their last 10 as well. They've had a 9-win and 1 draw stretch as the Victory will make their final change. Josh Hope finally gets to come on. He'll get a good sort of 4.5 minutes of regulation time. Elvis Campsober coming off in his spot. Attendance just announced on the scoreboard, 17,814 here at Amy Park. This fixture has provided the 2 highest Amy Park crowds previously. One was a grand final, one was a round 18 clash back in 2011, I think it was. From what I remember reading yesterday night. 84 minutes down, Sydney FC leaders by 2-goal leads. Luke Ivanovic, who was brought on, cuts the ball back to Ninkovic, who can play it across to Baumjohann, who can seal the game for Sydney FC. It's 3-0. They are asserting themselves at the top of the A-League tree. Alexander Baumjohann has one. That was a bit too easy for Sydney. It's 3-0. It's game over.
And Baumjohann not endearing himself at all to the fans. Doing the muscle flex. And the bottles are raining in on Amy Park, which is never a good sight.
There is plastic water bottles, beer cups,
but Sydney FC players
Powerade bottles showering down from the northern end.
They'll do well to stay clear of that. They need the game's wrapped up. Stay on the field. It can be a cruel game, this, but Sydney FC clinical, just clinical.
Yeah.
And it all came from the young man Ivanovic. The 2 young men battling it out there, and he got the better of Carrigan on the wing, out-muscled him, played the ball across, and Ninkovic, just the class of the man, summed it up, laid it across to Baumjohann, who for me has been one of the players of the match, if not the player of the match.
Yeah, I agree.
And he slaughtered it away. He's been sensational tonight.
Luke Ivanovic was the man subbed on for Costa Barbarouses 5 minutes ago. As Roddy said, he cut that ball back top of the box for Milos Ninkovic, and then out to Baumjohann on the right side of the goals, and he slots it into an open net. 3-0 for Sydney FC, and that'll be the final big moment of the match for Bendix breaks. Better breaks, Bendix. Melbourne Victory have a quick flash of the cross across the face of goal. Robbie Cruz on the other side hits it straight into the midriff of Andrew Redmayne, who throws his body weight on top of the ball and holds it for a second before rolling it out to the right side for Ryan Grant. 86.5 minutes gone. Sydney FC leaders by 3 goals. A couple of fans making their way out now of Amy Park. The far corner, that southeastern corner of Amy Park, however, still full to the brim, full of sky blue. Those who have travelled down, those who perhaps reside in Melbourne, followers of Sydney FC, enjoying it right to the last, soaking it up. This will be the 12th win of the season for the Sky Blues. They've only drawn 1 and lost 1 other out of the matches they've played this season.
And there's a really good contingent of them in that pocket.
Yeah.
So well done to the Sydney fans for making the trip across.
Melbourne Victory trying to work something out here. Andrew Boot has a shot. Andrew Redmayne makes the save. He bats it down. It was well worked by the Victory. Lawton through to Cruz. Knocked on through to Naboot, who took a first-time effort on the angle. Always going to be tricky to score unless he can squeeze it in some unlikely pocket. And now Ryan Grant goes accelerating down that right sideline. Skips past one. His cross takes a deflection off the lap of Lee Broxham. Ben Carrigan left it for Lawrence Thomas. Very risky with Adam Lafondra lurking. And now Lawton Tries to motor his way down that right sideline, attempting to find Cruz on the inside, but cut out by Sydney. And Sydney FC will just hold it for the moment. For the most part tonight, possession has been about even, but in the last 20 or so minutes it's been all Sydney FC. They've completed 335 passes to 288. The stats for hangmytv.com.au. Victory down the right side of the box. Naboot fires it into the front post. Did it come off a Sydney FC player? Penny Atthews claiming it did. Alex King agrees. Final change here for Sydney FC. Harry van der Sarg is going to come on. A youth team player, a right back who's been filling in over the last couple of weeks for Ryan Grant, 20 years old. Came from Manly United in the NPL New South Wales. And he's going to come off at Milos Ninkovic in the final few minutes of the game. Corner here for the Victory. A minute to go in regulation. Basher sends it into the front posts. Storm Roux gets it all wrong. There was a foot there from a Sydney FC player, so they'll go again here, the Victory. Basher from the near side of the field. 3-0 for Sydney. It's all over. It comes on through. Atthew was lurking, couldn't quite bounce up correctly to his feet. Broxham's there, tries to dink it into the back post, and Redmayne reads the airwaves well and holds it above his head. Football Nation for Western Union send money around the world, and for Kubota building Australia. Round 16 of the A-League, about halfway through by the end of this game tonight. 3 more games for the weekend. Central Coast against Brisbane tomorrow from 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Melbourne City and Perth Glory, that game kicks off at 7:30. That is a Football Nation call, so make sure you tune in again to Football Nation. Tristan Fernanda and Clint Bolton, your call team. The old guard reuniting, and Western United taking on Adelaide on Sunday. That game kicking off at 6 p.m. Which of those 3 games, Roddy, do you like the look of the most?
You missed one game too. There's a charity game tomorrow before the Melbourne City game, which I'll be taking part in. That'll be at 5 o'clock. So
that's right.
If anyone wants to come down early, and it's obviously to raise funds and awareness for the bushfire appeal. So that's another really important game in the context of everything that's happened with the bushfires. But that's the one I'm looking forward to most.
You and Clint Bolton are both playing in that. I'll be fascinated to see how Butzer goes, backing up off a charity match and then having to call the game.
He'll be out of breath.
Half a chance there for Luke Ivanovic. Side-footed that one just wide of the right upright.
What can you say about Sydney FC?
Yeah.
Just clinical. Like we said previously, you know, the good teams and the championship winning teams find a way to win. They find a way to score goals, keeping clean sheets. You know, Victory have prodded and tested and attacked and had some good opportunities, but, you know, Redmayne hasn't really had to do much.
Victory trying one last foray. Naboot was streaking towards goal. He's been the one that's lasted the longest for Melbourne Victory. Still trying his heart out even to these late stages into stoppage time here at Amy Park. 5 minutes of time added on. Still a bit of time to go. We've played 1 minute of that so far. These last few moments whittling away in front of a shrinking crowd. Victory fans upping and outing.
Just spotted my top in the crowd there. It's good to see they're still around. Yeah, look, really disappointing for the fans and the members, and I'm sure every single player out there for Victory, because they've had a real good crack tonight. I think they've played some really good stuff, and it can be a cruel game at times. It's, you know, you can say it's not a 3-0 victory. Sydney will turn around and say, well, you know, we were clinical, we defended clean sheet, but I still think it's been a great game of football tonight.
Brandon Lawton on the ball. Out to Carrigan. What have you made of some of the younger players tonight, in particular Ben Carrigan at centre back?
Look, I think he's had a decent game. You know, he's looked composed. He's won his one-on-one duels every now and then.
Yep.
He did get beaten for the third goal, and that'll come with experience. It's his first game. His side's 2-0 down. I think he can hold his head up high. He'll be better for this experience. And
there's a bit of a tangle off the ball. Lee Broxham getting involved with Baumjohann, Andrew Naboot. There's a bit of a fracas happening now. There's a blue in the big blue. Andrew Naboot and Ryan Grant facing up. Baumjohann still has his head in his hands, lying on his tummy. Andrew Naboot is absolutely infuriated. Anthony Caceres is there as well. Shirts are being pulled. It's dissipating now and sizzling out.
yeah, I think the quicker it sizzles out, the better, because it doesn't help anyone. I mean, Victory are losing 3-0. The last thing they want is a man sent off. Sydney FC on a roll. They'd do well to get away from this one. There's a cards brandished, I think, to Lee Broxham, and a red card. There we go.
Cards.
And that just spoils the victory for Sydney FC.
Yeah.
And that's not what they want. I'm sure that's not what their manager will be expecting from a top pro. No need to get themselves in this situation. It could be Luke Bratton.
Is that?
Or Andy Naboo. We still don't know. A bit of confusion.
I have no idea who got red carded. So Broxham got the yellow. Hang on, no. If Broxham got a yellow, that's his second yellow.
Maybe it's Broxham then.
Because Broxham was carded in the 19th minute.
It is Lee Broxham.
Okay, for a moment I thought he red carded Adam Lafondra. That was the man closest to where it was presented, but I didn't see how he got involved in that, Lafondra. So
Things going from bad to worse for Victory.
wow, yeah, and this is
90 minutes plus.
they are already short 3 centre backs. Melbourne Victory. Thomas Deng's on international duty. Tim Hoogland's injured. James Donachie will return next week. He's been suspended from 5 yellow cards, so I'll get him back, but looks like Ben Carrigan's in for another week at centre half. And yep, Lee Broxham's coming off the field. That's him.
Might have to see if they can get a special exemption. I'll chuck the boots back on.
So Broxham's off, and the Victory will finish this game with 10 men. A sour way to end the night.
I think it's 2 red cards. Or not. Or was there a late sub? Baumjohann.
No, Baumjohann, Victory, Sydney have used all their subs up, so maybe Baumjohann did get red carded.
So may have been 1 red card each. As we'll await confirmation.
Well, I only saw the red card. Did it get presented once or twice from what you saw?
I think I saw it twice.
Okay, well then it would be.
I saw one, and then the referee called Broxham back, and then he brandished it again.
Well, that's a pretty poor way to end the night for Baumjohann.
Yep, it's 10
goal.
against 10 out there, so
Yep.
yep.
It's probably in line to win the man of the match tonight. I wonder if that's still going to happen when we go through it at the end of the game. Roddy, Victory attacking one last time. Andrew Naboot down the left. Cut out first by McGowan. Second time around as well. 2 Socceroos butting heads. The third one coming in, Ryan Grant. And Alex King blows it into the game. Full time at Amy Park. The big blue ends in a blue. And it ends with Sydney FC extending their lead for now at the top of the A-League table and beating their arch rivals once again. 3-0 at Amy Park. Goals from Adam Lafondra, Costa Barbarouses and Alexander Baumjohann. The front 3 for Sydney FC. They got the job done. Victory were gallant in the first half but outclassed in the seconds. That's how it always goes against Sydney. Not just for the Victory this season, but for anyone else who tries to face them. Full time at Amy Park on Football Nation. For Western Union, send money around the world. And for Kubota, building Australia, 3-0 to Sydney.